Hi, everyone. This is Dr. Yu Cole, and I'm here with my friend HypnoJade, and we're going to do another little episode of our little video blog where we're talking about different issues related to health. And Jade and I were just talking about my diabetes, which brought up the subject of labeling and how we appropriate and basically call our pain our own. And in my particular case, many, many years ago, I was diagnosed as a type 2 adult onset diabetic. I weighed a whole bunch more than I do right now, actually. And yeah, a whole bunch more. And uh, I was told I was a diabetic. I was telling people that I am a diabetic and I have to have special food. And I was always using words like that. I am a diabetic. Or I have diabetes. I am diabetic. And I went along with that for quite some time on medication and other things like that until I met a man who became very, very significant in my life. And the first time I said to him, I said I am a diabetic. And he said, "Hi, diabetic, pleased to meet you," which of course took me back. I didn't realize at the time that I was in the aura of the most powerful hypnotist in the world, and he had just pulled one of his NLP stunts on me to get me to understand that diabetes is a lifestyle choice, and that you can opt out of the lifestyle. It doesn't have to be an eternity of measuring your blood sugar and measuring your pain and appropriating diabetes to you. And so I began not saying the word "I'm a diabetic." I began to think of myself as a generic human being with a blood sugar issue. Strange as that might seem. But that brought on a whole onslaught of different ways of thinking for me, because up until then I couldn't do anything about being a diabetic, because I knew, because the doctor said I was going to be a diabetic for the rest of my life, that I would manage it. And here I was pulling a full change in mid-course. I was on all of these medications that I had to figure out how to do without. And I began looking at supplements and holistic ways of managing my blood sugar. And remembering something someone else said was that if you were maybe 25 pounds thinner, you wouldn't have any of these things at all. I began dieting and exercising and doing the things I needed to do. Make a long story short, here I am many years later. I'm at 191 pounds. I haven't pricked my finger for blood in such a long time. I forget what that feels like. I just had a wonderful medical checkup. My H1C was marvelous, and all traces of any kind of a blood sugar issue are simply out of my system. I maintain a healthy lifestyle, and I do a lot of different things, but I'm always very careful to understand that I've had this issue, and I've got to be very, very careful about it. But it kind of brings into sight the when you call yourself a diabetic, you appropriate, and people are always saying stuff like "my pain" and "my pain level is." And Jade, you're a registered nurse. You've done work in emergency rooms. I know you have a lot of thoughts on this, so I'd like to just turn you loose to tell everybody what it really means when you appropriate your pain. Go ahead. Yeah.
First of all, I want to say I think it's absolutely fantastic that you've overcome what the traditional doctors would say is something that's probably not possible, because there's not very many people who understand and know that there are things that you can do so that you can live a quality of life by life change habits. And it's really true about what you say. You are what you're thinking about. So when a doctor, particularly, you go to the doctor, you have something, an issue that's going on, and they put you in a little box so they can define you and treat you with medications. So there's a kind of a good way to know that somebody can fit in a little box, but we are individual people. We are not statistics. We are not our disease diagnosis process. It's a lot easier I was given a diagnosis of fibromyalgia. And so then I go to the doctor. They say, you have this. You have fibromyalgia. You have this, this, and this. So every time I'm going to the doctor, they say, you have. I'm trying to say, in my own mind, I've been given a diagnosis. That does not mean that I am that diagnosis. And especially like with pain, because it comes in identity, doesn't it? If you think about it, when you're in a relationship, you're married, right? Yes. And you say, my wife, my spouse, my children. That is an ownership. That is a belonging. Those are intimate relationships that we form and are integral part of our lives. So then when we start saying that with the disease process of I am fibromyalgia, or I am diabetic, as you say, we are adopting and formulating a very deep system and relationship that then we become the disease or the symptoms of the disease. Absolutely. And it's really powerful. And a lot of times people, what it does is, like if somebody's in pain, chronic pain. We're talking about chronic pain here. Acute pain is when you like break a leg, and so that would be an acute response. Our body's telling us something is obviously very wrong. But with chronic pain, it's not our friend anymore. You know, our body tells us and is our friend. So it tells us when we're in pain so that we can know what to do and do something about it. But when it's chronic, right? So when it's chronic, it's going over and over and over again in this cycle. And with the cycle comes this belief system that I am never going to get out of pain, or a doctor will tell you, you will always be in pain for the rest of your life. So it's like a hamster on a wheel going over and over and over again. And we perpetuate that without even realizing it. Absolutely. Because of just we're so used to talking in a specific way. So how about we change that or reframe it and just say, when you go to the... Yes, that we reframe it. How about we do that?
Yes, absolutely. As
hypnotists, were you going to say something?
I was. I said, as hypnotists, both you and I know and understand that you can change your mind. You can change what you're thinking about. What you're thinking about is actually what you're being about. And as you learn to reframe your thoughts about health and your bodily welfare, your body learns to get better because it tends to give you what you're thinking about. As you're thinking, so everything in your life goes. So hypnosis is a very, very powerful way to help people to work with their chronic pain, to work with issues like diabetes. I know I used a great deal of hypnosis myself to convince myself that I could just change my lifestyle, and then to help me to lose the weight and do the things that I needed to do. And I look back at the actual incident, and I know my good friend Mark actually used a little NLP pattern on me, and now that he and I are very, very good friends, he kind of giggles every time I talk about this.
This is Mark Cunningham?
Yes, my friend Mark
Cunningham. Is this Mark Cunningham?
Yes, it is, my friend Mark Cunningham. He was very powerful and instrumental in teaching me that I could make myself healthy and happy, and healthy, helpful hypnosis, as you say, Jade, can make some major changes in your lifestyle and allow your body to heal its own self the natural way, the way it really needs to, the way it really wants to. What you're thinking about is what you're being about. Okay. Do you have any other thoughts that we could share with our
I,
friends
I
before we
do.
close our blog?
I
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, I do. When you're talking about healthy, helpful hypnosis, we're talking also about the looking at a person holistically, mind, body, and spirit. They talk about that in medical dialogue, but I'm not sure they really understand what that means. So what we're talking about here, you and I, is that we're talking about medical conditions, or we're talking about belief systems about ourselves. Being able to change a perception of the belief, as well as any kind of physical symptomology. And we are also stressing that you can do alternative things, like food is very, very important.
You are
Supplementation.
What you eat.
Yes, we really are. Because if we eat something that's like too acidic, it can cause much more pain in our bodies. That type thing. So we're talking about hypnosis as a whole modality in working with other things so that we can create and maintain and be those magnificent beings that we were destined to be. We were born this way in a healthy state. To be healthy. So
yes.
Right.
Yes,
and so sometimes we need a little help with our thoughts and our reprogramming and structure. Yes. Even listening to ourselves talk, there's ways that we could even do a little bit better in our personal languaging just as we're talking.
Yes. Wonderful.
Because we're so used to talking in a certain way, but the way that we're talking here is just to get a point across, so that you can understand. And sometimes the verbiage takes a little tweaking, some of the tweaking. Yeah. So you want to say...
I think our friends love you anyway, so yeah, and I'm not so sure about me, but yeah, I keep you over there so nobody has to look at me. So I don't think they're worrying so much about our language as they are about the message right now, because the message is very clear. What you're thinking about is what you're being about. What comes out of your mouth affects the whole rest of your body. So be really careful about what you're talking about, and be careful of the labels you use and the labels that you appropriate, because you can use healthy, helpful hypnosis to become the person you really, really want to be, the person that you absolutely deserve to be. So, you have any other thoughts that you'd like to add, Jade?
No, just to let everyone know that there is hope, no matter what the situation is. There's always a window of hope, and that things can always be better. No matter where you're at in a process of whatever that process is, there's always a little bit of something that can be better to give you a quality of life.
Wonderful. And with that, we're about to close. Jane and I are both in blue today, which is a really, really nice thing. If you folks have any other topics that you'd like us to talk about, any other ideas that you'd like us to discuss, we'll be doing these things on a pretty regular basis. So put your thoughts and ideas in a little box on the page, and just let us know what you want us to talk about. Appreciate it very much. We'll talk with you later on our next blog. Bye.
Yes.
Bye-bye.